Okay, guys, hey, we got a bunch of people on Zoom that are listening to all this chatter and they don't know what's going on. They're like, somebody tone it down. So grab a seat, let's get started. We got more people coming, but I like to be respectful of those that showed up on time. So we're gonna get started. Lynn's not in here. Oh, there she is. She's normally up front. Sorry, we got a lot of energy in this office. I wish y'all could be here. I know that some of you are in different states. You know, we got Oregon, we got Florida in there, Washington. Cassandra, I see Cassandra on there. She's my friend in Florida. She invited, we got some extra Coldwell Banker peeps on there. So excited that she shared this link with her people. And you're going to be glad you're here. You really are. Josh has been a friend, a mentor, a lender for 20 years.
It's been a long
brother.
time.
Wow.
20 years.
I'm gonna have
Just
to
when
start.
you were like in your 20s.
Yeah.
That's true.
Nice.
But it's funny, we were just talking after, and I can't remember what he said, but it reminded me of a presentation we did like for investors. We were trying to help others invest. You know, we both investors and have a handsome portfolio of real estate. So we're like, let's help other people do it. And so we set up these classes at the hotel conference rooms and stuff. And the first time, man, we're pretty cocky, young. We know what we're talking about until we stood up in front of people. Do you remember that? I remember him telling me, and I'm telling you this now because he's pretty polished right now.
Yeah,
And you need to know that you stick with something consistent, you get better at it, right? But I remember you had your 3x5 cards.
Oh, yeah.
And afterwards, he's like, man, I was doing so good until I walked up front and turned around and like, good. And then just cotton mouth. I lost my train of thought. Oh, crap. And I did the same thing. So we both did that. But I say that because, I mean, he's just a great trainer, a great instructor. You're going to get a lot of great content today. I am recording this too. So if you want to watch it again, reach out to me. We've got a lot of great trainings. And some of you are here because you've been to one of Josh's trainings before. It's like, oh, I got to go to that one, right? So I'm super excited about that. Anything you want to add?
Oh, no, I was just going to turn off your music. I would like to add that he knows his numbers. He knows what he's doing. And he's built several successful businesses and he owns a lot of real estate. So, I mean, he talks he walks
Walks the walk and talks the talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I said that because sometimes she's like, I had something to say and you went so fast, you didn't include me. So I'll do that. Hey, Mike, can you do me a favor? Mike, can you just tap that Google thing that's on the counter in the corner to your left? Just tap it, shut off that music.
Lynn, I thought you were gonna say he walks on water.
Down
a little bit.
Thanks, Ben.
Hold him down. Okay, so you all can see my screen. Give me a thumbs up or some if you can see this screen. Make sure I shared that properly.
Yes, got it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to activate this clicker. Josh, come up, introduce yourself. Anything more you want to add? And let's rip into it for these guys.
Cool, thank you. So just how do I go right? And then if I want to go back?
Yeah, if it's working properly, there we go. So big ones forward, small ones back.
All right, cool.
And I'll make this.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody virtually. Yeah, let's move them over there. Cool, this is great.
Is that
Thanks
good?
for the setup. This is wonderful. All right, so those who don't know, Josh Mettle, as Jeff said, I've been an investor and been learning from Jeff and Lynn for 20 years on the real estate side in terms of an investor. We own a company called Home Loans. Mike Jones and Ben Kyle are my partners in crime. They're in the back of the room. They're happy to answer any questions as well. And today, what we wanted to talk about was the challenge of low inventory and how we're overcoming it. So we originate loans in 48 different states. So we've been dealing with low inventory challenges. In fact, I remember my first deal in California. I was working with a female realtor in the Bay Area, and she got me on the phone and she's like, look, this is how it works in the Bay Area. You're going to write an offer. It's going to be 10 days. There's going to be no contingencies. It's going to be about $100,000 in earnest money. And if you don't close in 10 days, you're going to lose your client $100 grand. Can you play? I was like, holy shit, I'm not prepared for this. And slowly over the last 10 years, I've seen more and more states become that similar kind of mindset where there's just very little inventory. There's lots of challenges in the industry. And what we hope to bring is some ideas to you today on how to build a really successful business in spite of a low inventory environment. So besides low inventory, just real quick question to make sure I'm tracking with everybody. what are other of the primary challenges that you're seeing, not in your life, we can leave those separate, but just in terms of business, what are you seeing as your number one challenge in real estate right now as it relates to representing clients and helping buyers and sellers?
Perception of fear.
Fear due to interest rates, lack of affordability, prices at an all-time high, that kind of a thing?
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar, like uncertainty. People are like, they don't know what to do. They're thinking things are gonna change. They don't know how they're gonna change, and so they're holding back. And they're just that uncertainty is causing some lack of action.
I think people are thinking we're going to have a crash,
Yeah,
so they don't want to buy right now.
yeah,
And people that want to sell are like, I better hurry and sell before it falls.
love that. Okay, good. We should do more of those presentations that I've been doing around, we call it the bulletproof buyer presentation, but the whole purpose of that is to help people understand why the market's moving the way it is and to take them from conjecture to data. So it sounds like maybe we could do that together.
But Lynn, the problem with that is the people that want to sell then have a fear of the buy side, right? Which is.
That's another class.
If we have time, we're gonna talk about that a little bit more. Thanks for bringing that
But
up.
if you have the stats like you're talking about, then you can take that fear away,
Yes,
really.
yes, absolutely. Did you have something?
No.
Okay.
Well, I think people have misinformation too, right? I mean, you kind of ask them what their opinion is on the market or whatever, and then you got to follow that up and say, well, where did you hear that?
Yeah.
Where are they getting their information that they're not acting on?
Came from their uncle who got foreclosed on in 2010.
Owning a home is a bad thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think part of the problem though is I've heard realtors say, that's gonna crash. Like, nobody has a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's going to happen. We track the data, some better than others, but like, I think the data right now is like, I don't even know. So, I mean, I don't think I think there's too many people trying to buy homes still. But
I just saw a stat
So,
that I was, to your point, I just saw a stat out of Canada, their income to price ratio. So that's the average income of the Canadian worker as compared to the price of the home. Their prices are 300% higher in terms of that ratio of income to price than ours. So people go, how high can it go? I don't know. Canada's is 300% more expensive as compared to their incomes.
Wow.
So it can go a little higher for sure. Yeah.
One thing I've heard that is all these apartments that they're building, these newer generations, I talk backwards, I'm sorry. Newer generations don't want to spend money on a house, they want to rent and travel. But to me, apartments are getting as expensive as houses.
Yep.
So have you heard anything like that?
I think the average age of the first time home buyer is moving up. It used to be 31. I think it's now in the 33s, maybe even 34. So I think it's moving up. And that whole travel thing is great until you have your second kid.
And I think that's just a segment of the market
promise.
too. Certainly a segment of the market believes that, but I mean, if you look at, it depends on what data point you look at, right? Because like 70% of millennials want to buy in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
That's a lot. The millennials is a big, I mean, it's bigger than baby boomer generation was back then, right?
Correct. Biggest cohort. All right. Anybody on Zoom have a different answer? Biggest challenge that you're facing in your real estate business?
I have a challenge, and I'm not sure if someone had said it because I'm trying to listen in there, but forgive me if this is a duplicate answer. But a challenge that I come across a lot is these sellers are saying, why would I want to sell when I got a 2.5% 2 years ago? You know, they don't want to just drop the 2.5%, 3% to go into a 5%. So they're like, no, we're staying put. We got a good interest rate. We're not going anywhere. So that's another challenge.
Cassandra, I was just thinking about this morning. I was talking to my wife and I told her, I said, do you realize that we can't afford our house anymore? She was like, does that mean we're moving? And I'm like, no. Literally, we started building our house 3 years ago in Park City and the price is literally doubled. We just had an appraisal. It's doubled in 3 years. And interest rates from what I had locked in to where I could get now have doubled. So the price of my house is well beyond what I would have any sort of comfortability. That only took me 5 minutes, Mike. He always busts me. He says that's not a real word. But I'd have any sort of comfort around a payment. So what does that do to me? Does that make me want to move or does that make me want to stay? Stay. Because what am I going to tell my wife? We're going to downsize and we're going to a worse house. That's not going to happen. I can't afford to go to a better house. So to Cassandra's point, the low interest rates that the Federal Reserve has put us in has a lot to do with why people are locked into their homes and they're moving less frequently. Case in point, me, I'm stuck. I'm not going anywhere until my kids are gone. I can't do it. I can't afford to, right? Great. Thanks for the feedback, team. So I think almost everything that we talked about in terms of challenges will be addressed in one way or another in this discussion. And my hope is that this is a discussion around how to build a successful business in a low inventory market. If I'm the only one talking for the next hour, I'm going to be the most bored person in this room. So I want to hear from you. If something I say doesn't land for you, doesn't make sense, or you don't know how to implement, call bullshit. Say, wait, time out. If nobody calls bullshit in the next hour, you're not paying attention. So
Because I'm going to try and trick you.
yeah, I'm going to try and trick you somewhere. All right, so jump in. We're going to have one more question for you. This is a trick question, so be ready for that. What's the number one cost in your business? What is the number one cost in your real estate business?
Talking money-wise?
Cost money. Now you're overthinking it because I said it's a trick question.
Yeah. It's like, I'm thinking, what is he looking for?
Terry says time.
That's why I asked if it was monetarily, if that was the question, because I was thinking time too. I think maybe even wasting and squandered time.
Yeah, wasted time. Zoom friends?
I would say marketing.
Marketing?
Marketing.
I've heard labor. Yeah, any other guesses?
I was gonna say time as well.
Time. Okay, I think time's a really good counter argument that you might be calling bullshit on me early in this presentation. I'm going to argue that the number one cost in our business is actually missed opportunities. And this stat blew my mind. And this data came from the MBA and the National Association of Realtors, that an average of only 18% of real estate clients come back to their original mortgage lender and realtor. So think about that for a second. That means that we're losing out on a potential of 82% of our past clients' business. That's a big cost if anybody cares to calculate what that is. I mean, imagine if we were like insurance brokers and we sold a premium and then the next year we got another premium, and the next year, now maybe we wouldn't get it every year, but every 5 years we knew we were going to get another commission coming back, right? So the loss of that, the attrition of those past clients, I would argue is the largest cost or missed opportunity in our business. And so I like to say it like this: in our business, you either act or you get acted upon. I came down the highway, downtown Salt Lake, and drove here. Do you know how many real estate and mortgage signs, advertisements I saw, and buildings that did mortgage or real estate on the way? 14. So if your clients drive I-15, they're getting hit 14 times each way up and down the freeway, which I would raise your hand if you reached out to your past clients more than 14 times a day. We're getting out hustled. We're getting acted upon because we're not reaching out and staying in communication and delivering value to those past clients, and we're allowing them to get marketed away. And that's why we have an industry 18% retention rate. Good news is there's some solutions for this. All right, just to kind of press on this pain a little bit more, how much is your client database worth? Most people haven't really thought through that or run the numbers or tried to quantify it. I will tell you that our biggest asset is our CRM. I would say our teammates and then our CRM. And I have to say that, 'cause I have 2 teammates in the back of the room. So teammates and CRM. Yeah, thank you. Almost lost it there. I was feeling very uncomfortability. The database for us and the way that we figured out how to reach back out to that database, both with our CRM and what I'm going to share with you today, is the only thing that is keeping us alive right now in this market, as tough as this market is. You know, this market's tough for realtors because of lack of inventory. Imagine lack of inventory, no refinances, and our income is about 1/3 what a real estate commission is, right? This is a rough market for mortgage lenders. And the only way we're getting through it is with our database. So we break it down like this. how much is your data worth? So here's the statistic. People move about every 10 years. That might be a little less frequent with 2.5% interest rate mortgages. That might go up. But let's just say 10% of your database moves every year. And the average homeowner refinances at least once in their life. So for us as a lender, that means that 20% of our database is going to transact every single year. And I think a lot of times realtors are only thinking about, well, I'm only involved in that 10% that are moving. What I'm gonna offer today is that every time somebody does something with their equity or with their home is an opportunity for the real estate partner to re-engage, to step back in and to render advice so that when they're ready to transact again, hey guys, good to see you. Or when they're ready to refer, you have given them some reason to feel reciprocity. I think there's a tremendous amount of value in these databases that we're not utilizing to the best of its ability. I'm going to show you a tool that'll help us with that. So the question that I have is, are you building a transactional business or are you building a relationship business? I'm going to skip over a few of these slides because I actually sent Sydney an updated presentation this morning. Do you happen to have that, or could I slide in? Could I slide in that deck? Sorry, I didn't realize it said that we didn't get that one.
Let me just check what I got in Dropbox.
Okay, I just emailed her the Dropbox link. If it'll just take a second, let's do it. If not, I'll just keep rolling with this, but it's an updated deck.
So this is the one I opened.
Yep. You don't have Sydney's email, do you?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
You have a flash or something?
Let's see, I have it on my computer, which isn't gonna work, or I emailed it to her email. Sorry, I should have went through
Yeah,
this.
she said, you sent the Dropbox link and she downloaded. Oh, so Sid, are you on Zoom?
Yeah, so he emailed me a Dropbox link and I downloaded a PNG version and a PowerPoint version. So I don't know which one you have.
I got the PowerPoint up,
Yeah, so I just
but that's
downloaded it
from the
straight
link
from
you got this
Dropbox.
morning.
Yep, it was straight from a Dropbox link.
No worries, let's just roll with that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll just move through a couple of slides as the worst case scenario, so it's not a big deal at all.
Okay.
All right, cool. So the question is then, team, let me just back up and make sure I didn't miss anything that I wanted to see here. This guy.
Oh, when I minimized it, it probably has to reset there.
There we go. Cool. All right. So yeah, I'm in the right spot here. We're good. Okay, cool. Thanks. All right. So the question is, how do we monitor this past client database? How do we know what they're up to? How do we know what to talk to them about? How do we know when they need our advice? How do we know if there's an opportunity for us to step in and give them real estate or mortgage or some sort of help? We don't. And that's one of the reasons why we don't call. We don't know what to say. Hey, isn't the weather great? How's that house I sold you? That's an uncomfortable conversation because I sound like an idiot. I have to have some sort of an indicator, some sort of an idea of what's happening in your life. And then I can step in and I can give rather than looking like I just want to take, right? So the tool that we use is called, that's the wrong direction, it's called Sales Boomerang. Sales Boomerang is artificial intelligence that tracks your past client database 24/7, 365. It will give you analytics on what your past clients are doing and thinking. Scary, right? It's freaking scary. So check this out for just a minute. This is the average number of mortgage-related transactions in a borrower's life based on the average data from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, because they get to see all of the trends in a person's life. So 2010, they purchase a home. 2013, they do a cash out refi. 2018, they do a second purchase. That's 8 years. What happens if we didn't do anything in that 8 years? Do you think they remembered us?
No.
They don't. Doesn't matter how good you are. And it's not their fault. They don't have an 8-year memory. It's up to us to act, or we are going to be acted upon. I wasn't into my phone for 30 minutes this morning reading a news report, and I saw a mortgage advertisement from Quicken. So did my clients. So I better act, or I'm going to get acted upon to stay in that client's life. Rate and term refi, home equity line, third purchase, investment property, cash out refi, summer home purchase, cash out refi, reverse mortgage. That's the average number of mortgage transactions in an American's life. And the problem is, we think about this. We hope that they'll call us here, and we don't do anything in between. So what Sales Boomerang does, and this is their quote, I love their quote, no borrower left behind. If you did a loan for somebody in 2010, you didn't call them until 2018, you left them behind. And so the whole idea behind Sales Boomerang is, how do we employ artificial intelligence that is going to track all of the things that are happening in a consumer's life? I'm going to get into all of these alerts in a little bit more specificity, but these are just the core alerts. There's also a whole nother set of lifestyle alerts. Somebody registered for a wedding, someone died, someone got divorced, someone filed for a new business. They track all these lifestyle events and will alert you to those things as well. So this is what most realtors and lenders databases look like.
I feel attacked.
we got a bunch of, we look at a spreadsheet, we look at our CRM, and we go, who should I call today? And we have no idea what's going on in these people's heads. And that to me is scary. That to me is for years why I did a poor job following up with past clients. And I couldn't get over the fear of, like, what am I going to say to this person? They don't want to hear from me about a cooking recipe. I don't have anything of value.
I disagree, Josh.
Well, thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it. That was my internal narrative that I was telling myself. This is what Rocket, Movement, and Zillow's databases look like. Why are real estate companies and mortgage companies merging? Yes, they want to share the revenue. But what else do they want to share? Data. Data. Because as loan officers, Mike and Ben and I have the ability to monitor our past clients' credit. Do you have that ability? No, neither does any other real estate company. So guess what they do? They buy mortgage companies, and then they take the data from the mortgage company and they give it to all their real estate partners, and they work together to make sure that they have a greater than 18% retention rate. Mm-hmm. That is what's happening right now with artificial intelligence. It's either going to put us out of business, or we're going to learn how to use it to our advantage. We are either going to get acted upon, or we are going to act, period. That is what is happening with data. So what Sales Boomerang did is they said, we have best-in-class professional analytics. We've got everything from credit to equity to listing to lifestyle notifications. And instead of using it against the real estate and mortgage community by, giving it to Zillow or to a Rocket, we're going to free it. And we're going to give it to the mortgage and real estate community and let them use it for their own benefit. I'll walk through these inquiries real quick. By the way, let me just pause for a minute before I do. Questions, feedback, what are your thoughts on this so far? What are you hearing?
Light bulbs.
Light bulbs. I love it. Does this land for you?
Yeah.
Well, you kind of hit it. He's like, people don't know what to talk about when they call this gives talking points,
yep.
Conversation starters,
yep.
Things that are of interest in their life. Not very many places to get that. Right?
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. That's exactly right. Anybody else have any other thoughts? Any of my Zoom friends have thoughts?
I call bullshit.
I like you, Nathan.
I just want you to know I'm paying attention, Josh.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I wish you were here in person.
So Nate's in Oregon. You mentioned 48 states. What are the two you're not in?
Nebraska and New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, Nebraska's, we're almost there in Nebraska. It'll be like this month. It's New York that we're not. Okay.
When's it happening, Josh?
Soon. I don't know if I could I could speak lawyer or compliance officer, I'd tell you. All right, let me roll through the inquiries. These are the alerts that come out. So you upload a database of your past clients. Name, email, address, phone is all you need. No need, there's social security numbers. I can get that for you. No, just kidding. You might need date of birth too. I'm not 100% sure on that. And once the database goes to work, you have artificial intelligence 24/7 scouring that database, looking for these alerts. These are the core alerts, and I kind of touched on the lifestyle alerts. So the first one's a mortgage inquiry. So whenever one of our past clients goes to get their credit pulled, that is a different type of credit inquiry than if they go to get a car loan or a consumer loan. A mortgage score is different than a consumer credit score, and it's a different system. So why would it be helpful to know if your client just had a mortgage inquiry? Might be buying a house. Might be trying to refi.
Buy an investment property.
Buy an investment property. Buy a second home. Hey, I was just in Arizona. Saw a house that I loved. Oh, great. We have realtors in Arizona. You know, maybe I should refer you to somebody, right? The other thing I'll just say is it gives us an opportunity to reach out into our clients' lives and give them advice again. Whatever they're doing, it really doesn't matter. It just gives us an opportunity for us to connect. And maybe this is a transaction and maybe it's not. Maybe it's just an opportunity to say, okay, now before you go to make that mortgage decision, do you want me to do an updated CMA for you? You want me to tell you what I think your house is at so you can run some really good numbers? By the way, who are you working with? How did you find that lender? Could I send you one that I know will do a good job for you? Right? It allows us like a financial advisor doesn't. Do any of you have a really good financial advisor? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, a financial, maybe on Zoom? Bueller. A financial advisor does a quarterly or annual review every single year to look at your stock portfolio. Aren't we doing that as lenders and as realtors? Like people are fascinated with what's happening with the value of their houses. We have an opportunity to move from a transactional business to a relational business. And these,
say that. Yeah, he was calling me and asking me about something. He said something to me. He's like, oh, let Debbie
you just go to participants and then mute that way. Don't mute you though.
No.
I think they muted themselves. It gives us an opportunity to step back into the lives of our clients and to start to reestablish that relationship. Because it's the gap from 2010, which was the first home, to 2018, where we didn't have any contact and we handed off the job as the real estate advisor, where people forgot about us. And that's on us. So that gives us that opportunity. Whether this results in a deal or not, it enables you to step back into that life. The next alert is, oh, sorry, buddy. The next alert is the equity alert. So this tracks all of our past clients' loan amortization, so it knows what the balance is on that loan, and it shows you what the value of the home is. Now that value is not going to be as accurate as your CMA, but they use some really good data from Black Knight and a few other sources, and it's relatively accurate. So if you put somebody under contract, for example, on an FHA loan, you know that an FHA loan has mortgage insurance for life. They're going to be paying mortgage insurance forever. How ecstatic would a past client be if they got a call from a realtor saying, I think your home has 20% equity. We can drop the mortgage insurance. How awesome is that? And I'm going, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Thanks for stepping back into my life.
That is such a fail.
Right?
I'm thinking about that and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, because I really don't have in my database who has FHA or who has conventional to even be able to do that.
Totally.
We can put it on Facebook. We'll, you know, that is what can occur. But to actually call someone, do you know how much they love you for that?
What about a sales proposition of my commitment to you is I'm going to monitor your real estate and your equity and step back in your life anytime I see an opportunity to improve your situation. Whether that has to do with financing with one of our financing partners, or whether that happens to do with real estate, that's my commitment to you. And they're going to go, right, Lynn. Yeah. Like my first realtor, I'm going to be a realtor for life. I've never heard from him. But then you're going to call them and you're going to go, I think you're at 78% equity or 20% equity. I think it's time to start looking at removing that mortgage insurance. And maybe it's not, maybe rates have gone up. Maybe that's not a deal, but what's the impression you left in me with that phone call?
You care. You really
Lynn
care.
just did exactly what she said she did. She was gonna do. She cares. The other thing that this equity alert does that's super cool is you can set the triggers however you want. One of them is if they close above an 80% loan to value, it's going to assume it has mortgage insurance. You're going to get notified when it gets to an 80%. The other thing is when they get to a 65% loan to value, so 35% equity, it's going to notify you as well. Now, I thought that was really interesting. And I asked them why that, and they said that their data shows that when a homeowner reaches 35% equity, they're more than 3 times as likely to transact. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. Why would that be? And they go, well, we think it's because if you have 35% equity, you can pay whatever you're paying, 6-10% in transaction fees between realtor and a loan costs, and you still have 25% to move into the next property. So people start to feel wealthy when they get 35% equity and they're more likely to transact.
What was the percentage?
35% equity, 65% loan to value.
But what is they're more likely, what's percentage?
Oh, sorry, 3 times as likely, 300% more likely to transact. And transact could be mortgage, it could be acquisition of a new property.
Just because of financial confidence.
Financial confidence, they have capital, they know they can cover all the closing costs and still put 20% down on another property. Or they now can pull out money they know they can pull out money up to an 80% loan to value. So correct. So that's just another trigger that they put in. It's a reason for a call. Who doesn't want to celebrate that your 5% down payment turned into 35% equity? Did you realize that that was a 70% return on investment?
18 months.
Exactly. So equity alerts are super powerful. And again, it gives us something to say. It gives us a reason to call. Mr. Jones.
So Josh, I've been making these phone calls. And as a loan officer, everyone's calling.
Will you come up a little closer? I just want to make sure this microphone.
And be loud. So as a loan officer, obviously everyone's looking at it. What is in it for me? Like Josh was talking about, we want to give back, not just take. And I've been making these phone calls, and it's been interesting because I'm not calling to do a cash out refinance. I'm not calling to lower their rate. I'm just calling, hey, how's it going? And I can move over. Calling, how's it going? Just touching base with them. It's giving me something to talk about. And they're like, oh, should I refinance? I said, no, I would keep your house where it's at. You're at a really good interest rate. I'm talking them out of business a lot of times. Like, no, I think you should stay where you're at. Everything looks great. But that mortgage insurance, you're paying about $100, $200 a month on that. It's a really easy process. All you gotta do is call your servicer, petition, have it removed. You'll walk them through the steps, ask them to follow up with me so I can have another touch point with them. Because I want to know how it goes. I want to know how the process was in removing it. But it's been, it's great. A lot of us get stuck transactional. Like, I'm not making any money off of this call,
But you are, because people will refer you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's been that mindset of this isn't making me money, but indirectly, yeah, I'm making a ton of money off of this call because they're going to call me back because I was looking out for their interest, not looking out for my pocketbook. I make nothing off of that. I'm spending my time and money calling them. Just to try to help them save money.
Well, and we see with real estate agents, the people that really actually care about people are the ones that are staying successful. It's the people that are always just thinking about their pocketbook that aren't. So, that's the way for us all to do.
I like that approach because most people are looking to secure the business. And when you talk them out of doing business because it's not in their best interest, I would argue that our referrals double or triple. I don't have any data or anything, but I know from our personal team and our experience, when we go on a listing appointment and they don't list because we gave them other options, our referrals just, their friends now become our friends.
Yeah.
Because we looked out for them. So I love that.
Another thing is with all this equity that people have right now, sometimes a conversation, I've had a bunch of conversations with past clients that are looking at accessing that equity for, potential investment. Some investment in the stock market, some investment in real estate. And how do they access that right now? It is not through a cash out refi with us. And so I'm explaining that too, but I've walked people through how to do a HELOC. And so and they're like, well, what do you get out of that? I said, I don't get anything out of that. But if you want to buy a house with that, I'd love to help you with that, or down the road, whatever it is. And that advice position, or being in a position of advisor is huge. And I mean, seriously, I've had people ask me, well, what are you getting out of this? Nothing right now. I just want to make sure you know how to do it. If that's what you choose to do. So-
I'm just having you and your 7 kids cheat me for a bunch of money to go to a free swimming event this summer. That's what I'm getting at.
But I'll tell you what, when you call and it is the right time for them to transact, you own that relationship because you gave them good advice when it didn't serve you. They're going to listen to you when you give them good advice and they do business with you. Rate watch. Again, this is a cue that traditionally we've thought that's a loan officer thing. The lender should be thinking of that, right? So it's going to notify us if we put them in a house at 4 and the rates got to 3.5. My entire database is being monitored 24/7, 365. We're going to get those notifications the next morning. I would argue that in a low inventory environment, we need to shift how we're thinking about that. I think that that's a reason for the realtor and the lender to reach out. Hey, we noticed that your market rates have moved around 0.5%. There may be an opportunity for you to refinance. I've already scheduled later in my day for me to update the market valuation on your property. I'm going to reach back out to Mike. He's going to put together an analysis. Just know rates are down. I'm updating your valuation on your house, and we're going to come back together with you with some ideas on how we can save you some money. That's badass, right? What are we doing? We're bringing the realtor back into the relationship. We're no longer transactional, we're relational. And the realtor who put us into the house is the expert that continues with me and continues to guide me and give me good advice. Okay, listings. Why might you want to know if one of your past clients listed their home for sale?
Because if you don't know, it wasn't with you.
So you have a reason to swear. Wouldn't this be interesting to know?
Mhm.
How many of these do we get a day, Mike?
I think I grew like 40. I mean, it's a crazy number of listing triggers that we get.
Get an unbelievable amount of between mortgage inquiries and listing inquiries. We get about 40 a day. A day. And we just call them up and we just say, Lynn, you listed your home for sale. That's so awesome. Where are you going? And sometimes it turns into a transaction and sometimes it doesn't. And that's totally fine. But I think the point is we are doubling down on that relationship, I have had clients who have listed their home for sale and they've said, I actually forgot who sold me this home. I couldn't find the contact.
Actually, someone told me that before, that they couldn't find my number and that's why they were, putting it on Facebook or whatever. And yeah, that's whose fault is that?
Yep.
It's not theirs.
It's our industry because we've agreed as a group that our value is for 30 days between when the loan starts and the loan closes, or when they start happening and they close. And what I'm saying is that worked great when we had a high inventory environment, but in a low inventory environment where there's not enough leads, that doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. And I don't see, unless they start 3D printing homes, I don't see this inventory challenge going away tomorrow. Yeah.
I got one for this too.
Love it. Yeah, share, please. Come on in.
So one of these listing alerts.
Sorry, I didn't see you, by the way.
Oh, no worries. I was just
Yeah.
So called on this. It was a client I closed a loan for just a couple of years ago. Wasn't maybe not even 2 years ago. And just reached out. Hey, saw your house went up for sale. What's going on? She had taken a new job. We did one of our interesting products too for her, by the way, like a loan that probably 95% of other lenders couldn't do. So that was a nice thing. So she certainly remembered us. So when I called and asked, she's like, well, the job wasn't a good fit. They're away from family because they'd moved to another place. They didn't like being that far away and they didn't love the house. And so they just started putting 2 and 2 together. She found another job back near family. It's a W-2 job this time. Right? And so they got their house up for sale. It sold in no time. We got them finished up, got her pre-approved, and they're back living with family, looking for a home. And even was able to put her in touch with a realtor back in her hometown too. So it's kind of a perfect scenario all the way around. So
yeah, awesome.
Shopping right now.
I've had a situation before where somebody had signed the listing and had already committed, obviously, with the listing, but they were relocating like Ben described, and they hadn't figured out who they were going to use for that. And we were able to then make a referral there. And I sent her back to her original realtor and let that realtor refer them out. So, you know, the first thing you think when you see a listing and you didn't get it is like, oh, they suck. But I've found these actually have opportunities. And be a good idea just to update your Facebook friends when add that person back into your group. You want me to go back to that, Lynn, or are you okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. You bet. The other thing is, I think this is a litmus test for how good of a job you're doing staying in contact with your past clients. If you're getting a ton of these, you're not doing great. If you're not getting very many of these, you're doing a pretty good job. So I'd at least like to know, even if I didn't get that next, if I didn't earn that next business. Credit improvements. I love these. Nothing is more predictive of someone moving up than credit. And that may sound crazy, but I think a lot of times people do FHA loans because I got a 620 credit score. I wanted to buy a jumbo home, but I needed a 680. Or I wanted to do a high balance home, but I needed a 680. Every time credit scores move by greater than 40 points, actually you can set this however you want. We have it set at 40 points. You'll get a notification that says, how's it going? And it'll say, your credit's gone up. And I get a call and I gotta go, Jeff, congrats, man. Your credit's up by 40 points. What are you doing? You're gonna tell me all the stuff you've been doing successfully that's helping you jack up your credit score. You're gonna see, great. We need to do an equity analysis. We need to look at restructuring your global debts, because I'm guessing your cars and your credit cards and your student loans and all those things, we get back into giving advice again. And this credit score improvement is one of the top alerts for people deciding to move to a bigger home, especially in the rapidly appreciating market we've had. Because think, somebody did an FHA loan with 3.5% down. 2 years later, they have a 720 instead of a 620, and they have 20% in equity. And they didn't want that house anyways. It's just all they could afford with that credit score. Now they have upward mobility.
Josh, do people think this is a little creepy? Like, what you calling me about that for?
Yeah. You want to know the best script? Truth. I just got an alert, Terry. Your score's up 40 points, man. Congratulations. Never had anybody go, you know, what the heck are you doing? When we first started doing this, we tried to beat around the bush. How's it going? What's your credit? And they were like, creeper.
I don't think it would be bad as a mortgage lender, but as a real estate agent, if you knew that, then that would.
But Josh already mentioned how to do that. You set the expectations up front, and you tell them that you're going to take on the responsibility of monitoring their real estate for them.
Yeah, the scripting would be, congratulations, your rate's up. I've already sent Lynn a message. She's working on an updated CMA for you, because now between your increase in credit and your increase in equity, your options have totally changed. What else is going on in your life? We had another baby, house really doesn't fit anymore. Oh, so we should probably do a move out analysis as well as a cash out analysis on your current one. Should we do both those for you? That'd be great. Cool. As soon as Lynn gets back to me, then Lynn sends that back, CCs you, brings me back into the picture, the band's back together. That's the point of these. All of these alerts should bring the band back together. So I want to pause on this. I think we have about 15 minutes left. Some of the challenges that y'all brought up in the very beginning were around inventory and competitive marketness, so we can talk about home solutions a bit. But I want to talk about any questions you have on this implementation, and answer questions first before we move on. How about my Zoom friends? Nathan, you must have something to say.
Oh, I'm still watching, listening. It's great.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts? What questions do you have for me? What about our friends from Florida? Y'all have any questions?
No, this sounds amazing. I mean, this sounds really good. I mean, this would be a next step up, because I mean, you're right. It's like we lose touch because we get involved, we get, sucked up of life and things happening and so many things going on. And it's just like, this is probably something that will get us back on track and keep us moving and keep us being successful. I love it.
Tell me you're gonna work it in.
To-do list, right?
You're gonna tell us how to work it into our structure.
Say that again, Nate. Oh, did you say realtors aren't structured?
Well, I know most of us try. No, I said, just tell me that you're gonna tell us how we can be part of this movement.
You got it. I'll do that. Shaw, is that how you pronounce your name? I saw you come off mute. Did you have a question or something you want to chat about?
Well, my question got answered earlier, so no worries on that. But yeah, I was just going to say your other product that I'm using is the HomeBot. Obviously, this is a little bit different than that. So how do we get access to this?
Yeah, great question. And for anybody who doesn't know what HomeBot is, we can redo a refresher on that, but it's basically a monthly wealth digest for your real estate. So every month you get an email, which you can put a video behind as well. And the email will come out and say, here's how much equity you have. Here's your interest rate on your mortgage. Here's where your amortization is. Here's where today's rates are. And here's all the stuff you could do with your equity. Here's what it would look like if you want to buy another property. Here's what it would look like if you wanted to do nightly rentals. Here's what your revenue could be. Here's what it could be if you wanted to pull cash out. It gives you like a bunch of ideas. And those are supposed to be triggers to get to somebody to click a button and say, raise their hand and say, hey, I've been thinking about buying a second home, right? So that's another post-closing continuity item that I think is valuable and has really high engagement. The open rate's like 80%. What's yours, Eric? Do you know what your engagement rate is? Your open rate? 78%. So 78% of the people who get that email are clicking the link in the email to look at that wealth digest. And what I really like about it is you can put videos in there. So we just filmed our new videos for June. Mike and I did ours yesterday.
Yeah, Ben still hasn't done his.
Yeah, Ben's the only one who hasn't done his yet.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I just wanted to double down on the concern that came from over here. Yes, it does feel creepy at first. And I'm a guy that I love tasks. I love to come in and just do what's in front of me. I don't like to think of what do I need to do today. You go back to that slide where I showed the database with all the question marks over the top. I hate thinking, who am I going to call? What am I going to do today? This just gives me lists of people that I can just call. Just don't overthink it. Just pick up the phone and start calling. But yeah, you've got to be okay with being uncomfortable because the first few times it's a little creepy. You're calling them like, hey, I've been monitoring your credit, or hey, I saw you listed your house. And you just got to get over that. You just got to make the call, be honest, be upfront, and just do it. But I just want to double down on that because there's a lot of people that are going to feel a little weird making that call, don't know how to do it. It feels like a cold call almost. But the point of it is just do it. I mean, just be honest, do it. And it's nice to have 3 or 4 people that you just don't have to think about. You have a reason to call, you just call them every day.
Yep.
All right, I got one for you guys.
Go for it.
So as newer agents that don't have a lot of past transactions, would you say that this is something that you would try and inject into your whole like SOI? Like if we only have a year and a half worth of transactions under our belt, that's only, maybe 10 people that we have done past transactions with in the last 2 years. So what would you say would be the biggest benefit for somebody that is newer into the industry?
My response to that would be I would enter them into HomeBot, and I would also enter them into Sales Boomerang, because I'll get their permission to send them that wealth digest. And with that, they already know I'm monitoring their home value and their indebtedness on their property. So I have permission to, and I'm giving them something of value. And then when I call them and say, hey, I just got an alert that something happened, they already know that you have this permission and relationship going. So I would do both.
We have HomeBot, which sells
Yeah.
Yeah, the HomeBot is huge for the newer people because you'll see these guys are exploring this market, or you'll get a lot of notifications that way to know that they're active, they're thinking about it. So HomeBot's huge for the new people. This isn't going to be as big of a lift because going into this, you're not going to have the socials, all the stuff that you need to get a lot of these alerts. This is one where you're just going to be planting those seeds to harvest later.
Yeah, but you want to have the mentality, you're going to grow your business and you want to grow into that system. So you want to put your processes in place so that as time moves on, you're armed, I guess, with technology.
Time goes by so fast too. Like literally, it could be 7 years that you worked with someone, all of a sudden they're coming back to you. It's just.
When I started with Josh back in 2016, I had been managing, so I hadn't been originating for a long time. So I didn't have a back database, anything. I was watching him and Drake and I was just getting pissed because I couldn't catch him. I was not the number one. And I'm just like, I just don't have this back database. This sucks. I can't keep up with these guys. And just one transaction at a time. I just kept calling, both agents on both sides, just building it. So just getting into HomeBot, and then this will come to where all of a sudden now, a lot of my stuff is referral based. So,
but you can absolutely adopt your friends and family, your leads, your prospects, all those people into something like a HomeBot. And then if they're homeowners, also put them into Sales Boomerang. Okay. You do both. Good question. Thanks, Mike. Great call. So I think it was Cassandra that asked the question of like, what are the steps with this? So there's two ways to do it. Number one, everybody that we do a transaction for automatically goes in here. But you can we can set up a separate database that just has your past clients that would trigger and send alerts out and track your existing past client database. And those alerts would go to, one of our loan officers and to you, and you can figure out how are we going to engage this client.
How do we? I mean, you said you sent something out, but like, I don't have socials for any of my past clients. So
no, you don't need socials.
Continuation on your question. You have a year and a half, but how do we track all of our past clients with it? Everybody's fine, but hey, you have 40-point bump. I mean, I guess it's a partnership with you guys because you have socials and things, but I don't know. It just seems
you don't need socials for the credit, as crazy as that sounds. And it's not a credit check.
No, not a check.
It's just a monitoring, and all you need is an address and a name, and you might need a date of birth. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll find that out.
No.
Not always with a year though.
Yeah.
Some people don't want it. People know.
Yeah,
A lot of people don't.
Or you can dial them all and say, hey, we're having a great event called Summer Splash. I'd like you to come. By the way, I want to note down your birthday. I mean, it's not difficult to get through a database, and if you needed that piece.
It's just a great way to reconnect with people anyway.
Yep. Shaw, did we answer your question, buddy? I think we did, but if not, let us know.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. Great. All right. So my goal for you would be to help you manage your database better. So if you're interested in it, let us know. We'll fill you in. There is costs associated with it. And there's RESPA laws around that. So we have to split whatever that cost is of managing that database. And the costs from Sales Boomerang are based on triggers. And they're $1, a couple bucks, something like that. I think the investment in re-engaging in the interaction in that client for their cost for me is a total no-brainer. It's a non.
Hey guys on Zoom, do me a favor. If you want Josh or Mike or Ben or somebody on the NEO team to reach out to you about setting this up, just put your email in the chat for me. Is that cool?
That's great. Yeah, then we'll email them and get them any other information.
So Josh, is this a piece of technology that is subscribed to through you, or is this an independent?
So you can't follow up and monitor credit unless you are a lender. So the account is held by NEO, but you can update separate databases and you can send notifications out. So we can monitor your database, and then alert would go to us as the lender, and we would actually have the contract, and then the alert would go to you. And then at the end of every month, there's an invoice that comes out. We split it half on your credit card on record and half on the lender's credit card on record. Yeah. But the contract is in our name.
Well, and to what you started with, I think that would probably be a good touch anyways. Just reach out to them and say, hey, maybe even own up to, I'm going to do a better job keeping in touch with my friends, and I'm teaming up with my lender, and I'm going to start monitoring your real estate for you, so that I can reach out to you when certain events happen. And then you kind of set that up.
And I think the easiest permission is just to walk through the benefits of the wealth digest they're going to start getting with HomeBot and start re-engaging that way. If there's been a gap, I think that's the easiest way to do it. And at the same time, just start monitoring what's going on. Thanks, Kathy. Got that. Appreciate it. Cool. Any other questions around that? We've got about 5 minutes left, so I may just pivot to questions on home solutions if anybody has questions, but I don't want to move over this too fast. Yeah, I do.
Fast forward to that.
I'll do that. Yeah, you bet, Cassandra. Okay, so most of you have probably heard about, it's the very last one, so bear with me. Most of you have probably heard about home solutions. Did any of you have any questions on that? Because when I asked what the original challenges were, some of you mentioned, inventory. Somebody I think said people don't want to sell their house because they're worried about not being able to buy another house. Who said that? You did, Terry. Okay, so any questions on home solutions? Does everybody know what home solutions is? Let me back up and walk through that just real quick because it's just right here.
I would say only some of them do so.
Okay, so home solutions is a cash buyer program. And essentially turning clients into cash buyers. So essentially what it enables clients to do is to write an all cash offer before they've sold their existing residence. And a lot of times they're stuck in that home because their debt to income ratio is tied up with that mortgage, their equity is tied up, they don't have the cash they need to buy that next home. And what they really don't want to do is they don't want to sell this home and not be able to buy a new home, and now my kids are displaced, right? Like that's worst case scenario. So they feel stuck. So the cash solution program enables them to be a cash buyer. They can acquire the new property in cash and then sell their departing residence. And they have up to 6 months to buy that new property from Home Solutions, who actually buys the home in cash. Any questions on that so far? There's a couple other wrinkles, but let me pause there for a second. You see the utility on how that could be advantageous? Does anybody have anybody in that situation that feels like they're stuck in their current home because they can't move that equity to new property?
Hey, Josh, I want this slide for my listing pack.
You got it. So that's really, who was that, by the way? Hey, what's up, Nate? I had a realtor I was talking about this with, and they said, this is a listing strategy, not a buyer strategy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they said, every realtor walks in and they tell them why they should list with them. They're going to get them the top dollar. They all said pretty much the same stuff, but nobody's talking about the elephant in the room, which is, cool, everybody can sell my house by next Monday, but then what? And it's that doubt that is stopping people from listing. So he said, when I walk in, I'm not going to talk about the home, the listing. That's the secondary issue. I'm going to handle the elephant in the room first. We're going to talk about your house. We're going to get it sold for top dollar. It's not going to be a problem, but let's talk about what is going to be a problem, getting your new home. And I've already got that figured out for you. And they go through that whole thing. And then they're like, oh, I can see the steps between here and there now. And then let's come back to, all right, now let's talk about selling my home. So I totally agree with you, Nate. Somebody have something to add to that?
What are the wrinkles?
Wrinkles. Okay. Yes. Wrinkles. Good question. There's a lot of them right about here. All right. All right. So really quickly, this is the process. Buyer works with the mortgage advisors to get a mortgage advisor from NEO to get fully underwritten and approved. So not a pre-approval, they're literally underwritten approval. We've tried this backwards, me and Eric, it didn't work that well. So now we're gonna do, we're following this process going forward. Fully underwritten, approved. Then Home Solutions writes a cash offer. They're the buyer to buy the home. Then the client has the ability to list their home, sell it if they need to renovate it, if they need to do a little spruce up, if the house looks like crap because they've got 7 kids, 13 kids. We just talked about somebody in Summer Splash with 13 kids. Houses look beat, so they could paint it, they could carpet it while they've already moved into the new home, and then they have 6 months to buy. For that convenience, there is a fee of 2.5% of the loan amount. Whatever the acquisition cost of the new house is, minus any cash they want to put in, there's a cost of 2.5%. Now, a lot of people get lost on that cost and they go, that is a huge cost. But think about this for a minute. The market's going up at 1% a month. So if I can get you in a home in May or June, instead of September or October, you've recouped that cost.
Right.
Because now we've solved your problem, we can get you into the new home. By the way, in September, could rates be 6? Could they be 6.5? So it's convenience and it's an insurance policy.
Can this work nationwide minus your 2 states?
Unfortunately, this is only available in Colorado and Utah right now. Well, we're in Utah. I expected we were gonna be.
It'll be helpful down the road. It's not helpful.
We have partnered with another company that we can help you with that.
Yeah.
I've got like 3 upcoming listings and everybody's moving away. I'm like, bye. But they're all trying to figure out, how to do what elsewhere over the place.
Yeah. This particular program is Colorado and Utah. If somebody's out of state and they, if they want information on the alternative program, Mike or Ben will send that to you. Now let me give you one other wrinkle, because you asked a really good question. The other way that we figured out just through practice on this is that oftentimes we think we need the cash, but actually by the time we get to the closing date, they were able to sell their other house. They were able to figure out whatever they needed to figure out, and we were able to get the loan done. So now what we've started to do is we've added a clause in there that in the contract that says that as long as nothing else changes in the purchase agreement, Home Solutions buyer has the ability to assign the contract to another party. As long as the purchase price, earnest money, everything else stays exactly the same, it can be assigned. And what we, go ahead.
So the buyer can buy the house rather than Solutions.
So let's say that the buyer doesn't have to sell their home.
Right.
They just want to be a cash buyer because it's a multiple offer situation and they can't freaking win. They're, beating their head against the wall. In that situation where they don't have to sell another home first, or let's say they do have another home, but their debt to income ratio works. We tell them just go out and get an equity line on your current home. We can use that money as the down payment. Then we write the offer as Home Solutions, assign it to the buyer, get the buyer to the closing table before the 17-day close, and they just close with a loan and there's no fee to them at all. We've done several of those very, very successfully because we've already pre-underwritten them. So all you have to do is just appraisal, title, insurance, and your disclosures are ready to close. Right. So if you're, so let me tell you how to use this program. If you've got somebody with a lot of equity and there's a challenge with them moving, whether it's due to financing or whether it's due to their debt to income ratio, think about this program because this can be a bridge to get them from A to B and then sell their home. If you have somebody who has at least 10% in cash down and they cannot get an offer accepted because they're in a super competitive market and they keep getting beat, think about this program and the assignment. Because even in those lower price ranges where you're going to get 15, 16 offers, if you can come in with cash and you can have tight deadlines, sometimes that's the difference between making it win. So those are the 2 places you should really be thinking about this program.
So Josh, in for the people that are in other states, the down payment or the equity position, is it a little different?
It is that that program that Mike's talking about, they require a minimum of 20% down. Yeah. Yeah, and that down, by the way, it can be collateralized by the equity in their departing residence. Like they don't need to have that in cash. You can use the equity in that departing residence towards it. So, any questions on that at all? All right, well, it smells like pizza in here, so I can tell I'm losing attention quickly.
Any last questions for Josh before we introduce our sponsor, who is also a Josh?
Hi.
Josh, can you put the contact page back?
Yeah, you bet.
But I'm about to call bullshit too, because Josh doesn't eat carbs.
I know when I lost attention.
He's pimping out the pizza, but he's not touching it.